Hi, everyone. We're back. My name is Corey Stires, and I am the VP of Growth here at Zenon Wholesale Digital. I'm joined by Zenon's VP of Programmatic Ad Ops, Chris Small. Chris, thanks for joining me today as we talk about what is co-viewing and understanding what you're paying for. Chris, there are two sides.
Thanks for having me. Sorry about that. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Oh, you got it, Chris. We're glad to have you on the show. Chris, there are two sides of co-viewing, and this is a two-part question. Explain to the listeners what is co-viewing and why is not using a co-viewing factor a competitive advantage for Zenon?
Yeah, thanks. So those are both really great questions, and obviously they're becoming more and more important as people migrate to OTT and really looking at it. And what does it mean, right? So what is co-viewing? That's the best place to start on this in part one of your question here. Co-viewing is basically normalizing data based on a TV show or shows or platform. And what you're doing is you're saying, hey, on average, 1.5 people watch this show. So when you run an ad down to my household, you're normalizing it, saying, hey, on average, there's 1.5 people that are watching it. And so when you're buying impressions, leveraging co-viewing, let's say that they use a factor of 1.75. So they're saying on average, 1.75 people are watching it. What they're doing is if you bought 100,000 impressions, it's really about 57,000 TV spots on an OTT platform. And then the data is normalized against that 1.75 to get to that 100,000 impressions. Now, it's a fair metric, and it's something that is justifiable. Nielsen and Comscore do the co-viewing factors. They do it for a lot of groups, and it's a way to really kind of justify down the number of people and to accurately gauge the number of people that are watching your ads. Now, in terms of a competitive advantage on part two of your question and why it's important we do not use co-viewing is when you buy 100,000 impressions, instead of getting 57,000 TV spots, if we were using co-viewing, you're getting 100,000 TV spots for OTT because everything is down to a one-to-one. We recognize that people are watching sports, and a lot of times it's multiple eyeballs, a lot of shows it's multiple eyeballs, and so you're just getting added value. Because let's just say that there is a co-viewing factor, and we're not using it, but if we look at the co-viewing factor, again, just for easy math purposes for me, of 1.75, with us, instead of 57,000 spots and 100,000 impressions, really what you're getting is 100,000 spots. But if you were to use co-viewing, it's 175,000 impressions, but you're only paying for that 100,000 spots. And so your choices are you could pay for 57,000, or that's using co-viewing, or not using co-viewing and pay for 100,000 spots. And so you can see it just extends the reach of your targeted ads down to a household level because more eyeballs potentially are going to be watching it. We're just not counting those more eyeballs. We're just counting everything at a one-to-one basis.
So by buying the inventory through Zenon, the advertisers are going to get a lot more bang for their buck, and they're going to get a lot more reach and a lot more tonnage using the same budget.
Yeah. So if you, again, going back to that earlier example, 57,000 spots with a competitor, and they normalize the data to 100,000 impressions. Or you could get 100,000 spots. If we don't, but if we did normalize and use that same 1.75 co-viewing factor, it's 175,000. You're only paying for the 100,000 spots because we're not using it. So you can see it's more spots, it's more eyeballs, it's more everything across the board. You can get 100,000 or 175. You can get 57,000 or 100,000, depending upon how you want to look at that math. But no matter what, you're getting max value back to the advertiser, back to the agency versus paying for the co-viewing up front.
Well, listeners, now you guys know what co-viewing is, and you need to understand if you're actually paying for it or not. And you can contact us at Zenon, and we can help you look at your contract to see if they're using a co-viewing factor or not. Join us for our next episode.